This book really pissed me off. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Giselle and in today's video I thought I would do the mid-year freakout tag. It was really popular back in the day, but I think it's just a really fun tag to do. I've read 27 books so far this year. I don't have 1 or 2 stars, and the reason for that is because I don't force myself to finish reading certain books. I used to, but now since I have such little free time, I don't anymore. So if I'm not enjoying a book, then I just pick up a different book. I just DNF it and move on. I do have 3-star books, which are 7 books. I have 4-star books, which are 15 books of the books that I've read so far this year. So far I think I've had a pretty good reading year. And then 5-star books, I have 5 books on my list that are 5-star reads. So the best book that I have read so far this year is Yesteryear. Super popular book. The book is about a trad wife influencer who wakes up one day and realizes she is living in the 1850s. And so she's trying to figure out like what is happening, what is going on, and we go through her life. This is such an unlikable character. It really pissed me off at times, but I think overall it was a good thought-provoking experience. So a very thought-provoking book that I really enjoyed. The best sequel you've read so far in 2026. I realized I haven't read many series, which needs to be fixed. The best sequel I've read so far is The Perfect Divorce. This is a sequel to The Perfect Marriage, where, I forget her name, maybe Alice. Alice's husband is accused of killing his mistress, and now on the second book she is getting a divorce from her second husband. It's a thriller. It was a solid read. New release you haven't read yet but want to. I have so many. I had Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It, and I've already read that one. I have also Our Perfect Storm by Carley, The Divorce by Freedom McFadden, Strangers by Belle Burden, Summer's Never Over by Darby Bozeman, Dolly All the Time, Mad Mabel by Sally Hepworth. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now I haven't done much research on the books that are coming up. I will say I am very happy to watch the next season of Silo on Apple TV, and that's coming up in July. Biggest disappointment, that will be One Golden Summer. I really thought I would enjoy the book, but I didn't. Like, the main guy character was so unrealistic. I don't know, it's like too good to be true kind of men, and I just don't really enjoy that. Like, I want men who are, I feel like men in romance books overall are a little bit like perfect, like not very realistic. Biggest surprise, that would be Tell Me Lies. I really did not think I was gonna like this book. I went in thinking that it was some sort of thriller, and I typically don't like dramatic books like that, especially where there's a romance that's so clearly messed up, but I really could not put it down, and that was just a surprise for me because I don't typically gravitate towards books like that. Favorite new author debut or new to you? That would be Caro, Claire Burke, or Ashley Elston from Anatomy of an Alibi. Newest fictional crush. I wrote down Dixon from Anatomy of an Alibi. He was just like very protective. You know, he was also like super shady and a criminal, so I don't know. I guess like I used to have more crushes when I was reading romantasy, but I don't think I've read any romantasy this year, which that needs to be fixed. But yeah, in Anatomy of an Alibi, basically, you have a husband and a wife. The wife comes from kind of like a very powerful but shady family, and she's trying to divorce her husband, but they have like an airtight prenup. She has to like catch him doing something bad. She kind of hires somebody else to pretend to be her, and then that same day, her husband gets murdered. Newest favorite character. I wrote down Cher because I read her autobiography, like part 1 of her autobiography. Oh, that's a anticipated release that I'm looking forward for the rest of the year. Part 2 of Cher's autobiography. I just thought she's such an interesting life. She's obviously like a real person. She's not just like a character, but I don't know, I just loved reading about her life and knowing more, and she has really interesting stories, and obviously she's had such a full, amazing, crazy life. And then I was like, okay, it can't be Cher because she's a real person. So I wrote down Avery Price from Anatomy of an Alibi. So Avery is the one that is like pretending to be the wife for that day. Book that made you cry. I have 2, Crying in Ashmore and Becoming by Michelle Obama. If you don't know Crying in Ashmore, it's pretty much about Michelle's life and like growing up with a Korean mother. She's half Korean, half American, and her mom dies, so she talks about her relationship with her mom. Very emotional, obviously. It talks about very deep, very relatable topics. We actually, for book club, we ended up going to the restaurant that she mentions because she lived in Philadelphia for a while, and I actually blogged that. So if you want to see that blog, it's in my channel. And then Becoming by Michelle Obama, obviously it's an autobiography. Michelle Obama talks about all the struggles to getting her husband to be president. Book that made you happy. The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, but very hopeful, inspiring book. I also thought about Atomic Habits, even though that's not necessarily a happy book. It made me happy in the sense that it provided me the tools to improve my life. I thought that was just like very helpful. Most beautiful book you've bought or received. I think the cover of Our Perfect Storm is very pretty. What books do you need to read by end of the year? Obviously all the new releases I haven't read, list that I mentioned, and Girl on Girl by Sophie Gilbert. Favorite BookTube movie adaptation you've seen this year? That would be Project Hail Mary. And then I also saw Regretting You, but that was last year. A book that made you feel something you weren't expecting. I would say The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green. Again, it was just like a very thoughtful, very hopeful and inspiring book. He basically reviews not even hot topics, just topics that he finds interesting about like the modern age that we're living in. Obviously this was before AI, so he didn't talk about that there. That's all the questions in the tag. Hopefully this gives you some new books to check out, or if you've read some of the books that I've talked about, let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. My foot is completely asleep.